Hey everyone, welcome to the online program of Amrita Civil Service Academy. My name is CB Joy. In this video, we'll be decoding current affair MCQs of June 2020. So without any delays, let's go inside the video. The first question. Consider the following statements about the National Payments Corporation of India, NPCI. Statement 1, it is a statutory body. Statement 2, it is an umbrella organization for operating retail payments and settlement systems in India. Statement 3, it is an initiative of Ministry of Finance. Select the correct answer, option A 1 and 2 only, option B 2 only, option C 1 and 3 only, and option D none of the above. Now, NPCI has been coming up consistently in our newspapers, consistently in our magazines with regards to the Digital India program and the various schemes and various platforms they've built over the years to improve the retail payment system in our country. So, based upon all this, we can clearly say it is not a statutory body. It does not have statutory status for that. So, we can remove option 1 from that. Then the only thing left is option B 2 only and option C, option D none of the above. So we made it into a 50-50 chance. So it's either B or either D. It is an umbrella organization for operating retail payments and settlement systems in India. Yes, it is an umbrella organization for operating retail payments and settlement systems in our country. So keeping that in mind, we can say the option B is the correct answer. How do we know this? If you have been reading the newspaper over the past 2 or 3 months, definitely you would have known this fact. But with the current situation, the NPCA may not have achieved prominence as it did earlier before the coronavirus pandemic. So keep in mind that whenever you're preparing for your current affairs for your civil service exam, you'll have to look at your current affairs of the previous 1 year consistently to get a general idea of what is relevant for the exam and what is needed to be prepared, rather than looking at any individual, any monthly or daily current affair analysis and pick and choose. Rather, go for a comprehensive analysis which will ensure that you do not miss out in any points or any parts which can be asked by the UPSC in the civil service examination. So we'll go for the explanation. The answer is B. Statement 1 is not correct because considering the utility nature of the objectives of NPCA, it has been incorporated as a not-for-profit company under the provisions of the Companies Act of 1956. And now it's under the Section 8 of Companies Act of 2013 with an intention to provide infrastructure to the entire banking system in India for physical as well as electronic payment and settlement systems. The company is focused on bringing innovations in the retail payment systems through the use of technology for achieving greater efficiency in operations and widening the reach of payment systems. Statement 2 is correct because NPCI is an umbrella organization for operating retail payments and settlement systems in India. Statement 3 is not correct because it is an initiative of RBI and IBA, the Indian Banks Association, under the provisions of the Payment and Settlement Systems Act of 2017 with the idea of creating a robust and payment and settlement infrastructure in India. We'll go for the second question. Consider the following statements about Kisan Credit Card Scheme, KCC. So, it provides adequate and timely credit support to farmers for both farm and non-farm activities. It covers post-harvest expenses, consumption requirements of farmer household, and investment credit requirements for agriculture and allied activities. 3. It is implemented by Department of Agriculture Cooperation and Farmers Welfare. Now, I'll give you an easy thing you can use to identify it. You look at the question, the question is about Kisan Credit Card Scheme, credit cards. Who deals with credit cards? It's either the banks or some non-banking financial institution or something which is related to the banking and the payment system. Third statement, it is implemented by the Department of Agriculture Cooperation Farmers Welfare. Yes, Kisan, you can link it with the Department of Agriculture Cooperation Farmers Welfare, but credit card scheme, not necessarily the ambit of the government. Rather, it would be mainly the ambit of any, you can say, any payment bank systems or any RBA or maybe even the Ministry of Finance in the in the extreme cases. So keeping that in mind, the third statement seems a bit too much. So if you remove that, the only option you are left with is option A 1 and 2 only, which is adequate and timely credit support to farmers and covers post-harvest expenses, consumption requirements of labor, etc. etc. So we'll go for the explanation. I believe the answer is A. The answer is A. Statement 1 is correct because the KCC scheme was introduced in 1998 for providing an adequate and timely credit support from the banking system under a single window with flexible and simplified procedure to the farmers for their cultivation and other needs like purchase of agriculture inputs such as seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, and even draw cash for their production needs. It was further extended for investment credit requirements of farmers for allied and non-farm activities in the year 2004. So you can even go for allied activities and non-farm activities also. The Kisan Credit Card Scheme can be used by farmers. Statement 2 is also correct because it does cover post-harvest expenses, marketing loans, consumption requirements of a farm household, working capital for maintaining the farm assets, and allied activities to agriculture. But the statement 3 is not correct because the KCC is implemented by the commercial banks, RRBs, small finance banks and cooperatives, not the Department of Agriculture Corporation Farmers Welfare. So keep that in mind. We'll go for the next question. In context of Ultra Swachh, consider the following statements. Defense Research and Development Organization DRDO has developed this disinfection unit to disinfect personal protective equipment, PPE, electronic items, fabrics, etc. It uses an advanced oxidative process comprising of multiple barrier disruption approach using ozonated space technology for disinfection. 3. It has adverse environment effects as it releases chlorine and its compounds in the environment. Choose the correct code. Option A, 1 only. Option B, 1 and 2 only. Option C, 1 and 3 only. Option D, all of the above. Now, if that, with regards to any question in science and technology, just look at it. If it has very high technical content, my personal suggestion, it's going to be right. So if you look at the second statement, it uses an advanced oxidative process comprising of multiple barrier disruption approach using ozonated space technology for disinfection. It is very hard for a common man or even a layperson to just understand what is the technology behind it, just over and beyond the name which is mentioned in this. So you can definitely say that the statement 2 is 90% is going to be correct. So keeping that in mind, statement 2 is present in only two options, which is option B, 1 and 2 only, and option D, all of the above. So either we made a 50-50 elimination, so it's either B or D. And the only thing which is different in that is option 3. Look at the statement. It has adverse environment effects as it releases chlorine and its compounds in the environment. Ultra Swachh has been developed by some organization. We don't know. We believe it to be the DRDO. Do you think they would create such a such a device or such a technology which would have adverse effects on environment, especially in the present scenario where we are all very environmentally conscious? Seems highly irrelevant to put up such a statement. So keeping that in mind, we can actually eliminate option 3 too. So you can definitely say the option B seems to be the most right answer. We'll go for the explanation and see it. The answer is B. Statement 1 is correct because DRDO has developed a disinfection unit named Ultra Swachh to disinfect a wide range of materials including PPE, electronic items and fabrics. The statement 2 is correct because it does use an advanced oxidative process comprising of multiple barrier disruption approach using ozonated space technology for disinfection. And the system is double layered with a specialized ozone sealant technology assuring trapping of ozone for the necessary disinfection cycle. The statement 3 is not correct because it also has a catalytic converter to ensure environment friendly exhaust. That is, only oxygen and water is released to the environment, not any chlorine or other environmentally harmful substance. Rather, the only substances which are released are oxygen and water. And it is in compliance with the international standards of industrial, occupational, personal and environmental safety. It comes in two variants, namely ozonated space and Trinitra technology. The Trinitra technology is a combination of ozonated space and radical dispenser, and the treatment is optimized with automation for quick disinfection cycle. So that is the explanation for Ultra Swachh. Please remember, it is environmentally friendly. It was developed by DRDO and it uses ozonated space technology for disinfection. Go for the next question. In the context of One Nation, One Ration Card scheme, consider the following statements. Under the initiative, eligible beneficiaries would be able to avail the entitled food grains under the NFSA or the National Food Security Act from any fair price shop in the country using the same ration card. Second statement, under this initiative, only, please note the keyword, only interstate portability of ration cards is provided. Third statement, the integrated management of public distribution system or the IMPDS portal will provide the technological platform for the interstate portability of ration cards. Choose the correct code. Option A, 1 only, option B, 2 only, option C, 1 and 3 only, and option D, all of the above. The second statement, the term is under this initiative, only interstate portability of ration cards is provided. To say that there is only interstate portability but not within the state seems highly irregular. So to keep that, that seems highly paradoxical. So we can actually eliminate that statement. You remove option 2, the second statement, you are left with option A, 1 only, and option B, option C, 1 and 3 only. Automatically, we've again made it a 50-50 question, 50-50 choice. Then the only statement that you have to look into is the statement 3. The integrated management of PDS or the IMPDS portal will provide the technological platform for the interstate portability of ration cards. Yes, it is quite possible. It could be the IMPDS platform. So you can make a qualitative judgment and say it is option C. But either way, we managed to make it into a 50-50 choice, which is our main objective by looking at these questions. Because if you can make it a 50-50 choice, just by looking at all the other current affairs and preparing on that, you can easily make a answer which is majority of the time going to be successful and going to help towards your prelims. So we'll go for the explanation. The answer is C. The statement 1 is correct because under the initiative, eligible beneficiaries would be able to avail the entitled food grains under the NFSA from any fair price shop in the country using the same ration card. The statement 2 is not correct because the ration card portability is aimed at providing both intrastate as well as interstate portability of ration cards. The statement 3 is correct because the IMPDS portal provides a technological platform for the interstate portability of ration cards. So we'll go for the next question. Question number 5. What is Agni Prastha, sometimes seen in news? A. Missile park. B. Torpedo recovery vessels. C. Firefighting equipment. D. Defense industrial park. Agni, fire, it could be anything. It could be A. Missile park. It could be B. Torpedo recovery vessel. It could even be C. Firefighting equipment, or it could even be defense industrial park. So keeping this in mind, like I told you earlier in the previous videos itself, any question having an A, B, C, D type of options is going to be really difficult for us to tackle, because it's not really easy for us to know it unless you have a very clear background on what is happening around us and how we can easily identify it. So keeping this in mind, it's going to be very hard for us to tackle because all the options are also very similar, and it's going to be it's going to be hard to make a logical connectivity to it. I would suggest if you please read up on the question paper, read up on the current affairs, and you'll be able to tackle such questions in your question paper. The answer is A. The missile park Agni Prastha will be dedicated to all the officers, sailors, and support staff of INS Kalinga, who has served in this premier base of the ENC Eastern Naval Command since its establishment in 1981. The park aims to capture glimpses of missile history of INS Kalinga since 1981 till date. So this talks about the Agni Prastha is a missile park which is emplaced in INS Kalinga, and it just talks about that. So keep in mind, Agni Prastha is a missile park based in INS Kalinga. Go for the next statement. Next question. Consider the following statements about the Pashmina goats. It is also known as Changra. Second statement, these goats are generally domesticated and reared by nomadic communities called the Toda in the Nilgiri region of Kerala. Recently, the Bureau of Indian Standards, BIS, has published an Indian standard for identification, marking and labeling of Pashmina products to certify its purity. Select the correct answer using the given below code. Option A, 1 only, option B, 2 and 3 only, option C, 1 and 3 only, and option D, all of the above. Pashmina goats, Pashmina shawls are really famous across the country, and if one just knows about the Pashmina shawls, you can clearly identify that Pashmina shawls are not based on the southern part of India, but rather they are available mainly made in the state of in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. So keeping that in mind, you can say that the second statement, where these goats are generally domesticated and are reared by nomadic communities called the Toda in the Nilgiri region of Kerala, seems highly irregular. So you can eliminate the second statement. You are left with again two options, A and C, which is 1 only, and option C, 1 and 3 only. Statement 1 automatically becomes correct. Statement 3 is the one in question. Recently, the Bureau of Indian Standards has published an Indian standard for identification, marking and labeling of Pashmina products to certify its purity. Yes, it is quite possible that the BIS could have brought about a recent change in that to identify the purity of Pashmina shawls. So keeping this in mind, it's quite possible it could be both A, 1 only, or option C, 1 and 3 only. I'd like to go with option C because it is a recent current affair and the BIS could have brought about something like that. So again, we managed to make it into a 50-50 elimination, and that is the main aim of this discussion. Coming to that, option C is the correct answer. Statement 1 is correct because the Pashmina goats are also known as the Changthangi or the Changra. And the statement 2 is not correct. These goats are generally domesticated and reared by nomadic communities called the Changpa in the Changthang region of Greater Ladakh. Statement 3 is correct because the BIS has published a Indian standard for identification, marking and labeling of Pashmina products to certify its purity. We'll go for the next question. Consider the following statements about the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC. It is part of China's ambitious One Belt, One Road initiative, and it will pave the way for China to access the Middle East, Africa, and the Indian Ocean. That's the second statement. Which of the above mentioned statements are correct? Option A, 1 only, option B, 2 only, option C, both 1 and 2, and option D, none of the above. One Belt, One Road initiative has been China's flagship program over the past few years. And definitely one of the conflict issues India has over with the One Belt OBOR initiative is the CPEC, is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which China and Pakistan have said to be been developed, and it crosses through the region where India has territorial dispute with Pakistan, especially in the Gilgit-Baltistan region. So keeping that in mind, you can definitely say that the first statement is correct. It is a part of the One Belt One Road initiative, and it will pave the way for China to access the Middle East, Africa and Indian Ocean. Yes, because once that is connected, China can access Pakistan directly, and from that it can access the Arabian Sea, the Middle East, the Africa and the Indian Ocean. So keeping that in mind, it is quite possible both the statements are right. You can go for option C, both 1 and 2. The answer is option C. Statement 1 is correct. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is a part of China's ambitious One Belt One Road initiative to link China with Europe. Started in 2013, the CPEC is a developmental project between Pakistan and its all-weather friend China. The statement 2 is correct because CPEC will pave the way for China to access the Middle East and Africa from Gwadar port, enabling China to access the Indian Ocean, and in return China will support developmental projects in Pakistan to overcome the latest energy crisis and stabilize its faltering economy. Go for the next question. The explanation is very clear cut. You can just read that explanation, and for more details about the One Belt One Road initiative, you'll be sitting in your classes and definitely you'll be taught about the One Belt One Road initiative and what is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. In case you want to know something, definitely you can use the internet resources to get a general idea of what it is, and you'll be able to understand more about it. We can go for the next question. In context of rubber plantation crop, consider the following statements. So, in context of rubber plantation crop, consider the following statements. It requires hot and humid climate with an annual rainfall of over 200 centimeter. And the second statement, India is the world's largest producer of rubber. The third statement, West Bengal is the largest producer of natural rubber in India. Choose the correct code. Option A, 1 only, option B, 2 and 3 only, option C, 1 and 2 only, and option D, all of the above. So, rubber plantation crop, it requires hot and humid climate with an annual rainfall of over 200 centimeter. Yes, that is absolutely true. Rubber requires a hot and humid climate with an annual rainfall of over 200 centimeter. India is the world's largest producer of rubber. No, not necessarily, because if it was, we would have been hearing about that far more than we are hearing about it right now. So we can definitely say that India is not the world's largest producer of rubber, and you can, from that you can eliminate option 2. So option B and option D gets eliminated. Option B, C and D gets eliminated. The only thing which is left is option A, 1 only, which is a hot and humid climate with an annual rainfall of over 200 centimeter. Third statement, we'll just check at it. West Bengal is the largest producer of natural rubber in India. No, it is not West Bengal. It's Kerala. We'll go for the explanation. The answer is A. Statement 1 is correct because it requires hot and humid climate with temperature of 25 to 35 degrees Celsius and annual rainfall of over 200 centimeter. The rainfall should be well distributed throughout the year. And dry spell and low temperatures are harmful. Daily rainfall followed by strong sun is very useful. Deep, well-drained loamy soils on the hill slopes at an elevation ranging from 300 to 450 meters above sea level provide best conditions for its growth. The second statement is not correct because India is the third largest rubber producing country next to Thailand and Indonesia and produces about 9% of the global output. The third statement is also not correct because almost the entire rubber in India is produced in Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Kerala is the largest producer of natural rubber, producing 595,000 tons or 92% of the total rubber production in India. So that is for the explanation. We'll go for the next question. Ninth question, under the Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, PMMY, any Indian citizen who has a business plan for a non-farm sector income generating activity can approach which of the financial system for credit need? 1. Non-banking financial company or NBFC, 2. Foreign banks, 3. Regional rural banks, 4. Cooperative banks, 5. Microfinance institutions or MFI. Choose the correct code. Option A, 1, 3, 5. Option B, 2, 3, 4. Option C, 1, 2, 3 and 5. Option D, all of the above. Looking at this, you can definitely say that any non-farm sector income generating activity, definitely I would suggest you to go for option D, all of the above, because all of them are are enabled to provide loans or credit to the Indian citizen who wants to start up a business plan. So keeping that in mind, you can definitely say option all of the above are right, and you can go for option D. The answer is option D. The explanation is Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, PMMY, is a flagship scheme of the government of India to fund the unfunded. That is the objective of the Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, by bringing such enterprises to the formal financial system and extending affordable credit to them. It enables a small borrower to borrow from all public sector banks such as PSU banks, RRBs and cooperative banks, private sector banks, foreign banks, MFI and NBFCs for loans up to 10 lakh. Please note the term 10 lakh for non-farm income generating activities. Under the aegis of PMMY, Mudra has already created the following products or schemes. Shishu, which is the loan covering up to 50,000. Kishore, loan from 50,000 to 5 lakh. Tarun, covering from 5 lakh to 10 lakh. So just keep that in mind. Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana loans are available. The Mudra Bank has given 3 products, which is the Shishu scheme, the Kishore scheme and the Tarun scheme. The maximum is 10 lakhs under the Tarun scheme. Keep that in mind. We'll go for the next question. Recently, the government has launched PM Swanidhi to provide affordable loans to street vendors, special microcredit facility for self-help groups, provide free medical aids to old age people and provide zero interest agricultural loan. So, Nidhi is that. So, you can say it's somewhat related to money or something. And from that it comes, you can eliminate option C, it provides free medical aids to old age people because it does not match with Nidhi. So, you can either go for A, B or D. That's the only thing you can eliminate in these kind of questions because there is not much logic else you can employ to make a better elimination. Like I said, ABCD questions are a bit difficult. You will have to read the current affairs which is mentioned in the newspaper to get a better idea of it. We'll go for the explanation. The answer is option A, provide affordable loans to street vendors. Go for the explanation. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs has launched a special microcredit facility scheme, PM Swanidhi, or the PM Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi, for providing affordable loans to street vendors. The vendors can avail a working capital loan of up to rupees 10,000, which is repayable in monthly installments for the tenure of 1 year. Please keep that in mind. 1 year tenure, amount is 10,000 rupees. On timely or early repayment of the loan, interest subsidy of 7% per annum will be credited to the bank accounts through DBT or direct benefits transfer on 6-month basis, and there will be no penalty on early repayment. It provides for escalation of the credit limit on early or timely payment of loan to help the vendor achieve his ambition on going up on the economic ladder. Over 50 lakh people, including vendors, hawkers, thelewalas, rehriwalas, thelifadwalas, etc., in different areas or contexts are likely to benefit from this scheme. That is the idea of PM Swanidhi. It is to help street vendors, extend a line of credit to street vendors. We'll go for the next question. It refers to the unindexed. Consider the following statements about darknet. It refers to unindexed sites which are unsearchable as they are protected by passwords. It offers a high degree of secrecy and anonymity. Select the correct answer using the below code: 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, and option D, none of the above. So, darknet, deep web, many of us get confused. You can definitely say that the second statement is true because it offers high degree of secrecy and anonymity. Again, when we are sure that the second statement is true, you can say that either it's option B or option C. Now the question is on the first statement. It refers to unindexed sites which are unsearchable as they are protected by passwords. No, that is the deep web. Unindexed sites which are protected by passwords are also present in the web. They are known as the deep web. You just need to type the password. Darknet, you cannot search for them. You cannot find a password for them. You need to employ a special software known as Tor or Freenet or I2P to actually access them. That is the idea. That is the difference between them. So the correct answer would be option B, 2 only. We'll go for the explanation just to confirm it. The answer is B. Statement 1 is not correct because darknet is commonly confused with deep web. The darknet refers to encrypted networks on the internet that are not indexed by search engines such as Google, Yahoo or Bing. It is a layer of the internet accessible only by using special software like Tor, the Onion Router, or I2P, the Invisible Internet Project. Whereas the deep web refers to unindexed sites which are unsearchable in most cases, because these sites are protected by passwords. So understand that the statement in this question asked was about deep web, but rather the question itself was asking about darknet. So there's a clear-cut difference between darknet and deep web. Read the explanation once again. You'll be able to definitely get the you'll be able to get the gist of the explanation. The term darknet and dark web are occasionally used interchangeably, but with subtle differences in meaning. Darknet is a network built over the internet, whereas dark web refers to websites on a darknet. Statement 2 is correct because it is a network built over the internet that is encrypted, thereby offering a high degree of anonymity. Go for the next question. Consider the following statements about rhinos. Statement 1, only the great one-horned rhino is found in India. By 2021, the Indian rhino could be the first wild animal species in India to have all its members' DNA sequenced. Indian Rhino Vision of 2020 calls for doubling the population of greater one-horned rhinos in protected areas of Assam by the year 2020. Which of the above mentioned statements are correct? Option A, 1 and 2 only, option B, 2 and 3 only, option C, 1 and 3 only, and option D, all of the above. Now, it's a very specific question about the rhinos in India. And the first statement itself has the keyword only the great one-horned rhinos found in India. Actually, that is true because India just has the great one-horned rhino. The rest of the rhinos are not present in India. So you can say that the first statement is correct. So keeping that in mind, option B gets eliminated. By 2021, the Indian rhino could be the first wild animal species in India to have all its members' DNA sequenced. Possible, not possible, we'll keep it as such. Indian Rhino Vision 2020 calls for doubling the population of greater one-horned rhinos in protected areas of Assam by the year 2020. No, that is something which we have not heard about it much. We've heard of the Indian Rhino Vision of 2020, but we haven't heard of doubling the population of rhino. It doesn't seem highly relevant. So I would like to eliminate the third statement. From that, you will get option A seems to be the mostly right answer. Of course, the second statement does have the keyword all in it. So again, it's a bit complicated. So in this question, it's a bit complicated because the keywords are all confusing us. At the same time, certain statements seem highly vague and irrelevant. So it's a very difficult question to answer. But once someone learns about the Indian Rhino Vision of 2020, definitely you'll be able to answer this. Or if you learn about rhinos generally, you'll be also able to answer this question easily. So the answer is option A, 1 and 2 only. The answer is A, option A. The statement 1 is correct because there are 3 rhino species in Asia: the greater one-horned rhinoceros, the Javan, and the Sumatran rhinoceros. Javan and Sumatran rhino are critically endangered, and the greater one-horned rhino is vulnerable in the IUCN Red List. Only the greater one-horned rhino is found in India. The statement 2 is correct because the Ministry of MOE FCC has begun a project to create DNA profiles of all rhinos in the country. The project is a subset of the center's larger ongoing rhino conservation program. By 2021, the project's deadline, the Indian rhino could be the first wild animal species in India to have all its members' DNA sequenced. The project will help in curbing poaching and gathering evidence in wildlife crimes involving rhinos. The database will be hosted in the Wildlife Institute of India, headquarters in Dehradun. The statement 3 is not correct because it was launched in 2005. The Indian Rhino Vision 2020 is an ambitious effort to attain a wild population of at least 3,000 greater one-horned rhinos spread over 7 protected areas in the Indian state of Assam by the year 2020. It is a collaborative effort between various organizations, including the International Rhino Foundation, Assam's Forest Department, Bodo Land Territorial Council, Worldwide Fund India, and the US Fish and Wildlife Service. So that is all for the first part of this video. This is CB Joy signing off. Thank you.